Well, baby, I'm on it with a bottle of wine and an old dirt road. Are you ready to go? Hey, thanks everybody for joining us today. Live Music Nation podcast. I'm your host, Jake Gill. Today we're with Kyle Dougan, producing artistic director at Music Theater Works. Kyle, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Kyle, give us a little background on you. Where'd you grow up? And then your career process and transformation from childhood to where you're at now with Music Theater Works.
Oh, wow. I was born, I always like to call myself the rainbow sheep of the family. I'm born in St. Louis and ended up actually going to school in Oklahoma. I was in Tulsa,
All
Oklahoma, and did my undergrad there, and then ended up going all the way to London, England for school for musical theater. And I worked there the reason I ended up there is I was looking for a degree that was specific to producing musicals.
Well, baby, I'm on it with a bottle of wine and an old dirt road. Are you ready to go?
That was really great with the University of London. I actually went there at the same time that Princess Beatrice was going there, so I always knew she was in the building when security was around.
Right.
And the cool part about my time there is I worked doing new musicals in the West End. So the company that I worked for is called Perfect Pitch. They have Andy Barnes and Wendy Barnes, and they actually just had one of their biggest hits of all time with Six, the musical that's playing on Broadway and around the country and around the world, really, right now. So that's kind of where I kind of jumped off. And of course, the visa only lasts so long. So ended up back here in Chicago, close enough to home, but far enough away as well. And, there's only a few cities in the world where you can really make a career, like a full-on career doing music and theater and arts. And one of those was Chicago. And I knew it was the right place to be. And so kind of found myself, living the dream in some ways. I always say I'm producing musical theater in Skokie, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And that's the truth. I love it. I love the community that it's in. We're in a large metropolitan area, so we're really have great talent around the country, around the city, as well as just a great place to do theater. So that's kind of how I ended up what I'm doing.
Yeah, very good. So tell us about Music Theater Works. What do you guys do? What type of productions? Give us an idea.
Yeah, so the company was founded actually over 40 years ago. It was originally started as a live operetta company. So we used to do things like Gilbert and Sullivan, like old school operetta. And through the years, of course, those audiences have changed and really kind of leaned into musicals over the last 5 years, and finally kind of took the leap to move to our new building, which is the North Shore Center for the Performing Arts in Skokie, and really kind of solidified the idea of doing different types of musicals. What I like to say very simply is we do musical theater, big scale, small scale, with large orchestras, with pit bands, with rock bands. It just depends on kind of the artistic vision and where we're putting this, where we're producing our shows and which theater we're producing our shows. So if you like musicals, we're the place to go. That's what I like to say.
For sure. Give us your last 5 productions. What would you have done?
So last 5 productions we had, we are currently actually we're in rehearsals for White Christmas, which is a 19 piece orchestra and a 34 person cast. And what's currently running right now is an 8-person production of Camelot that's done with a stylized orchestra and 8 people in the cast. So if those of you who might know Camelot's usually done with like a large scale. We decided to put it in our smaller theater, which is a 315 seat house, and produce it on the small scale. Prior to that, we did a production of Zorro, which was music by the Gypsy Kings. It was a regional premiere. So we had swashbuckling and sword fighting and all that kind of stuff with the music of the Gypsy Kings, which is pretty cool, and flamenco dance. Prior to that, we did a small production of Disney's The Little Mermaid, and then prior to that, we had Ginger Minge of RuPaul's Drag Race fandom doing a production of La Cage aux Folles in our smaller theater, where the audience was actually on stage in a cabaret setting, drinking cocktails and rubbing elbows with the drag queens.
So, are you only a presenting theater company, or do you host as well?
We are a presenting theater. We are one of the resident theaters at the North Shore Center for the Performing Arts in Skokie. So
okay, all right. So Kyle, let me ask you this: what do you like the most about your job?
I think, and I mentioned it before, the thing that interests me the most as an artist is, I say I love doing musicals and I love doing them in Skokie, and I think that's very true to the nature of regional theater, regional arts, regional music, is that we really get to cater to the people that are in our community and what they want to see, and kind of challenge their version of art, but also to give them the things that they crave, and do it with the amazing talent that's in our community. So I think that's really exciting for me as a producer and as an artistic person, the fact that I'm able to talk to the people that come every couple months to come see a show and know what they loved and what they're seeing elsewhere in the community, and the things that they're passionate about, and getting to know their kids and their grandkids and their friends, and seeing them get drunk at the theater bar. And that's the fun part of doing great theater, or quality theater, musical theater in a community, as it is part of that community. So.
Yeah, no, that makes great sense. All right, a couple fun questions here. Gosh, so all-time best production, and we'll go with theatrical production or concert, all-time best show you've ever seen in your entire life, Kyle.
That I've ever seen in my entire life. Okay.
Yep.
So I would say in my time, I hate to say this, but it was in my time in London, there is a company called Punch Drunk Theater, and they do dance theater with music in found spaces. They're doing one right now. I actually just saw it in New York City called Sleep No More, and it's about Macbeth, but it's done with multiple actors on dancers on 6 stories of a old hotel in the 1920s. And it's very, very cool. When I originally saw their production many years ago, I want to say it was like 2008, I saw a production that was in a building in a fishing area of London, and it was Faust, the Faust story, and it had music and dance, and it was the audience walked around, so you weren't seated, and there was a bar, and it was a really, really cool production. You had like these kind of sexy witches that were in this production of Faust. They'd come and sit on your lap, and it was really cool. It was really cool. So
very cool. It's definitely unique, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so you could bring one concert or one theatrical production to your city in one of your venues. Who would you bring?
Anyone, dead or alive, or alive?
Dead or alive. Dead or alive.
I would probably, I think I would probably bring someone like Ethel Merman. I know that's crazy to hear, but she was such a spitfire and an amazing musician, and had the mouth of a sailor, but also would sing at I think she sang like twice at the White House for both presidents' inaugurations. She also had an amazing disco album later in her life. Look it up, check it out. It's hilarious, but also pretty cool that someone kind of old school had a disco album as she got older. I would say someone live like that, telling stories about her life with no filter. That's the type of person I would like to see. That I was born after she was dead, so I would love to see it. So
that's awesome. That's awesome, man. What What a character you are. That's awesome. You've definitely had some experiences for sure. Kyle, how do people find out more about the productions and the different theaters and the venues that you offer with Music Theater Works?
Yeah, we are in Skokie, as I said, at the North Shore Center for the Performing Arts in Skokie. And we perform in both of the Center Theater, which is a small thrust space, and a large proscenium house, 850-seat house. And they can go to musictheaterworks.com to see a musical or get more information about us.
Skokie. So are you the original and then Oklahoma Muskogee? Like
that's right.
Is there any connection there? Like, just thinking back, I'm wondering if he ever wrote about Skokie.
That's
Illinois.
I don't know if there's any. I actually have to think. I mean, I live in Winnetka, and there's an old song by Bette Midler about big noise in Winnetka. I think
there you go.
The name of it. So Bette Midler sang about Winnetka, which is just about 5 minutes from Skokie. But I don't know of any songs about Skokie. So
That's awesome.
Maybe time to write something.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Very cool. Well, thank you for your time, Kyle. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, baby, I'm on